Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast. My name is Adina. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and in these weekly videos, I go over the energies for the week ahead. And in this forecast, we will be going over the energy for April 1st to the 7th, 2024. I do want to apologize that my forecast is late this week as we are in eclipse season and Mercury retrograde. So there is stuff coming up left, right, and center for all of us. And so I still wanted to post a weekly forecast, even though it's late, because we're in a lot of intense energies and I really want to cover that with you all. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you align with my energy and enjoy my content. I will also be posting the monthly horoscopes. Obviously they are late as well, due to just so much has come up, but I will be getting to them right away and posting them as soon as possible. April is one of the biggest months of 2024, so there's a lot to cover in those horoscopes, and it really all starts now. We are in eclipse season. We now have Mercury retrograde in Aries, and so the first energy that I really want to cover for this week is the Mercury retrograde. I want you to think back to March 18th. Between March 18th and April 1st, what has shown up for you? Was there any important messages or information or conversations or thoughts? Was there a shift in mindset? You want to think of any major themes, topics, or energies that has shown up between March 18th and April 1st, because that is what you will be navigating and reevaluating and rethinking during the Mercury retrograde period. And then when Mercury stations direct on April 25th, Mercury is going to station direct right on top of that North Node. So April 25th is going to be a really big day because there's going to be either an important conversation or a shift in mindset or a better understanding of the direction that you are meant to move in. The North Node is all about new, unknown. It's a part of your purpose, your journey in this lifetime. And the fact that we have Mercury retrograde stationing on top of the North Node and in Aries, which represents the self. So there's a lot that you're reevaluating around you and who you are, maybe your self-identity, your purpose here in this lifetime. There's a lot shifting here. Now, I did post a video going into the Mercury retrograde energies. I went through a couple of charts. I also touched on Canada, Justin Trudeau, Pierre Poilievre, and I also got into all 12 rising signs. So make sure you check that video out. Mercury is retrograding over top of Chiron. And so Chiron is about the wounded healer. Chiron is the wounded healer. So Chiron represents our traumas, our insecurities, our vulnerabilities. So there's something that you've been moving through since middle of 2023 when Chiron hit that 19th degree that is you're developing a better understanding. There is more understandings and healing taking place when it has to do with you and who you are, your self-identity, maybe self-development, self-discovery, personal growth. Aries represents the self. And I was actually driving the other day, and for me, like Aries, when I think of Aries, I think of the root chakra. And I feel like there is a lot surfacing right now or being triggered or activated around what makes us feel unsafe. We want to feel safe. Your root chakra is all about safety. And I feel like there's triggers taking place in our lives. It will look different for each of us, but I really think that there's triggers happening where things are coming to the surface, and this is what you have to work through. And I've also talked about, being in eclipse season too, having these karmic cycles appearing so that you can see how far you've come, so you can see how much you've healed. And if that means that you have a trigger and this old version of yourself shows up, that is so you can become aware of who you used to be and who you no longer are and who you no longer want to be. And you can release that and let it go. So if you're having triggers right now and you are acting in a way maybe an unhealed version of yourself, but you've done so much healing over the last year or 2 years or whatever the case is. And you're like, why am I acting this way? Why is this, version of me coming up? It's so that you can witness it and release it and let it go for good, because we really are in this energy of ending karmic cycles and stepping into this new karmic pattern. And so really, in order to do that, we have to know exactly what those aspects of ourselves are. So things may be happening where you are becoming, this version of yourself that you may have used to be. And this is so that you can become aware of it, release it, let it go, and say, yes, I am no longer this person. I no longer want to be this person and hold on to this. And I've done the healing to know what I have to do. I have the tools I need to not get this way anymore. And you can release it and let it go. Now, another energy I want to touch on quickly is the Mars and Pisces energy, because Mars and Pisces can bring up a lot of emotional turmoil. Pisces is a very spiritual, very emotional energy. So having Mars and Pisces, and Mars ruling all of this Aries energy, Mars being the dispositor of Mercury retrograde, Mars being the dispositor of this solar eclipse that we're having in Aries and the North Node, having Mars in Pisces is also allowing us to develop this spiritual growth and emotional maturity. So we can add that energy to, whatever is kind of showing up for you. This is your way to transcend that. Having Mars in Pisces is allowing you to transcend that, release it, let it go, end this karmic cycle and karmic pattern. And so throughout, not just this week, but throughout the month of April, and I will touch on this more as we move through April, but throughout the month of April, doing a lot of self-reflection, self-evaluation is what is much needed with this energy, and really what Mercury is going to trigger, especially with that Chiron. Something may really come to a head with the solar eclipse, and I'll be making a video on the solar eclipse and getting into all 12 rising signs. But pay attention now, because we're right in the middle of eclipses. And so whatever that solar eclipse is going to bring up for you, you're already going to start feeling kind of what that is. And this really does have to do with the self in some way. Now, also this week, we have Jupiter reaching 18 degrees of Taurus. So Jupiter is moving closer to Uranus, which is also a huge conjunction that we are having throughout the month of April. We're going to have that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction from April 17th, I believe, to the 21st. And I think that it comes exact on April 20th. So as we it's more into the middle of the month, but as Jupiter moves closer to Uranus, we're going to feel the buildup to what that is going to bring. So Jupiter shifting to 18 degrees this week, we may feel something intensify. Not that it's going to be bad, but we're feeling a buildup towards something. We want to remember that Jupiter is the planet of expansion, abundance, luck, opportunity, spiritual growth, optimism. Uranus is the planet of chaos, disruption, and shock. That came to me very powerfully. So there can be something very shocking, and I think when it has to do with world events, we're definitely going to see some stuff this month. But in our own individual lives, you want to know where you have Taurus in your birth chart. You want to know the house that Taurus resides in, so you can know the themes and topics. You want to also know where Aquarius is in your birth chart, because Uranus rules Aquarius. And you also want to know where Sagittarius and Pisces are in your birth chart, because Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Pisces. So that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is affecting almost 4 areas of your life. So paying attention now to what is starting to build up, what is starting to amplify in a way, is, again, there's so many coinciding energies the month of April, which is why April is such a big month astrologically, energetically. But we just want to have that self-awareness. We just want to have the awareness in general so that we can see what's kind of showing up when it has to do with our physical reality, but also when it has to do with ourselves, our thoughts, our emotions, our energetic connection. We want to have that awareness so that we can move through or take advantage of opportunities that are arising right now, because we have the ability to grow on such a spiritual level that can affect us in our physical reality. And so we want to be paying attention to how we're feeling, energetically and emotionally, and kind of what is going on around us. Now, on Tuesday, April 2nd, the time of me recording this, because I'm late with the forecast, we have Venus forming a conjunction to Neptune in Pisces. So Venus, being the dispositor of the South Node, pretty heightened right now because we just had that lunar eclipse in Libra. When Venus forms a conjunction to Neptune, this is really great for creativity, imagination, romance, but this is also where we can over-idealize something. So it's a beautiful energy to work with when it has to do with romantic connections or connecting to your partner in some way or doing any creative projects, which is kind of why I think I'm recording all of my videos today with this Venus conjunction to Neptune, because it's also very spiritual, very intuitive energy. But again, it's Neptune, so it can make things a little confusing, a little cloudy, and we can tend to see things with rose-colored glasses. So we do want to have that awareness and mindfulness while working with this beautiful energy of Venus and Neptune. Now, also on Wednesday, we have Neptune moving to 28 degrees of Pisces. So when we have these outer planets shift a degree point, it does become quite significant. Neptune rules Pisces, and Neptune is one of the strongest energies right now because Neptune is in its home sign and dispositing all of that Pisces energy. So Neptune shifting to 28 degrees, which is, moving closer to, it's the final degrees of Pisces. We're going to have Neptune shift into Aries over the next couple of years, and that's going to be a huge energy shift. But this is Neptune working with new territory in this area of your life. So where do you have Pisces? What are the themes and topics associated with the house that Pisces is in? Neptune is now working with this area of your life for spiritual growth, energetic growth, emotional growth, and again, working with those karmic cycles and patterns so you can transcend something here. On Thursday, April 4th, we are going to have the Sun form a conjunction to not Neptune, oh my gosh, I was going to say Neptune, the North Node. The Sun is going to form a conjunction to the North Node. Now, I really want you to have the awareness on this day because something very beautiful can be showing up for you. Something very supportive, whether it is some really powerful insight or intuitive download or something. Because remember, this North Node energy is heightened because we're in eclipse season, but we have Mercury retrograde working with this. We have Chiron here, and we're only about at this point just a few days away from the solar eclipse, which is working really intensely with that North Node because it's fairly close. So there can be something on this day, on April 4th, showing up for you to bring you a better understanding or clarity or insight when it has to do with this new direction you're moving into or this new journey or whatever you've been working with since we had the nodes enter Aries and Libra. And whatever these eclipses have brought up for you, this is where there can be a really good understanding or some really beautiful support coming in. Then on April 5th, on Friday, we're going to have Venus enter Aries So we're adding Venus now to this Aries energy. Now Venus can rule our appearance, the aesthetics, our style, beauty, harmony, balance. But Venus is quite prominent right now because we just had that lunar eclipse in Libra. So whatever was kind of activated with that lunar eclipse, whether it had to do with relationships or how you connect within relationships. This is where you can really feel that motivation to start moving forward with whatever you've been feeling and working with. Venus sometimes in Aries can be a little self-focused or selfish. So we do want to watch for that. But depending on the house that you have Aries in, sometimes, if you have Aries in the fourth house of home, family, property, real estate, sometimes I've seen, and even with myself, when Venus is transiting that fourth house, I redecorate my home. But Venus being in Aries, just generally speaking, is great for motivation, for going after what you want. It's this go-getter kind of energy. So we are starting to have all the energy in Pisces start to shift into Aries, where we're starting to kind of figure out the direction we want to move in. We're starting to get that energy back because the energy's been, quite low lately with Mars in Pisces and Venus in Pisces. Venus in Pisces is always great for romance, creativity. I mean, Venus is exalted in Pisces, but Venus being in Aries, and Venus doesn't do the greatest in Aries because Aries is ruled by Mars. But if you want to work with that energy in a constructive way, you absolutely can by tapping into the elements of motivation, the elements that don't make sense, not elements, tapping into the energies of motivation and willpower and drive, or maybe even doing a lot of self-care. And that just came to me intuitively. So with Venus and Aries, maybe introducing self-care into your routine to help you navigate whatever it is you're navigating right now. And that is an intuitive message because it just came to me out of nowhere. So I will trust that someone needs to hear that. Now, Venus is also going to form a sextile to Pluto. So this can be really beautiful for some type of transformation, or really, this can actually be very magnetic as well. So if you're doing any spiritual work or whatever you're kind of working with this energy, you can really draw something into you quite powerfully with this Venus sextile to Pluto. But this does bring in this powerful opportunity for transformation, especially when it has to do with the self, because it's Aries, the self, and all of this other coinciding energy. So we do want to take advantage of the Venus sextile to Pluto, really working with that, especially with self-healing, whatever work you're doing on yourself right now, utilize that Pluto energy to dig beneath the surface, to really do some powerful work on yourself, whether it's self-care, spiritual growth, whatever the case is. Now, over the weekend on April 6th and 7th, we're going to have the moon in Pisces. And then on Sunday, on the 7th, we will have the moon enter Aries. And so that is when we really feel the amping up of this solar eclipse energy. We can really feel things start to intensify over the weekend. Not only that, but we have Mars moving closer to Saturn. We're going to have the Mars-Saturn conjunction in Pisces very close to the solar eclipse. It's actually like the day after the 9th. We're moving through that Mars-Saturn conjunction on April 9th, 10th, and 11th, but it comes exact on April 10th. So Mars is starting to move closer to Saturn, so we're starting to also feel what that is going to bring, because something can really be there could be like a sudden stop or a sudden shift with something, a sudden realization of restriction in some way. But there's definitely a leveling up, whether it can be a little bit challenging because it is that Saturn energy. There could be something like coming to the surface that you're having to move through so that you're able to level up. But there is something that you're going to have to move through next week. We're all moving through it in our own way, but we're going to feel those energies with the Mars-Saturn conjunction and also the solar eclipse start to intensify as we move through the weekend. So Again, I always say self-awareness. So we always want to be aware of kind of what's showing up for us, what's going on, the emotions that are coming up, just having that over the weekend, I think is going to be crucial. I don't think you're going to be able to ignore it. I think we're all kind of going through this. We're all literally moving through this transitional period of leveling up in some way. And this has to do with our healing journey. This has to do with our relationships. This has to do with the relationship to ourself, our own spiritual growth. So we really do want to have that awareness so that we can understand kind of why certain things are showing up for us right now and what the work is that we have to do so that we can grow on all of those levels, the emotional level, the spiritual level, and the physical level, and the mental level, psychologically. So I hope that this helps you kind of navigate the energies for the week. I know that we are in some really big, intense energies. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will be posting my monthly horoscopes right after this. But thank you so much for joining me, and I will connect with you all in the next one.